So here's a headline that's making a lot of people upset. This is from The Hill. It says, progressives fight over leverage amid ever slimming majority. Democrats will need near total cooperation among everyone in their House and Senate caucuses to pass any bills on their own without GOP support. That's an interesting article headline. Progressives fight for leverage. First sentence, everyone has leverage. That's what it is. Everyone, what? Progressives fight for leverage.
Huh?
Every one of them has leverage. Every Democrat, they now need your vote. They now need your vote. It means only a handful of Democrats can hold up a bill. It also means that they will be all under more pressure than ever to stick together. Who wrote this at The Hill? Did they watch the Jimmy Dore show? I think they did. You watch the Jimmy Dore show late November? And now decide in April to write this article? Are you shitting me? You're writing this article now? Who the fuck wrote this article?
Scott Wong
and Christina. But always takes two people to write something like this. Really? I could have wrote this fucking in my sleep. It means only a handful of Democrats can hold up a bill. Okay. That handful could be progressives holding out for things that actually help people. That could be. We have really thin margins, says Representative Dan Kildee, Democrat from Michigan, the Democrats' chief deputy whip and a member of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. We have really thin margins, meaning that progressives have all the leverage in the world. And they're not going to use it. But you know who will? Joe Manchin. Kristen Sinema will. Given the party's razor-thin margins, Kildee is offering this advice to his colleagues. Keep your powder dry. I would like to find, how big do you think the room is where the progressives keep their powder dry? How big is that fucking room? I'm going to say it's a couple of football fields. Couple of football fields wide. Holy shit, keep your powder dry. House Democrats already started the year with the thinnest majority in generations before three members resigned to join Biden's administration and the death of Representative Elsie Hastings of Florida last week. Democrats only could lose up to 4 of their own votes. Holy shit! Since Democrats took back control of the House in 2018, the 92-member Progressive Caucus, led by Chairwoman Pramila Jayapal, has not been following the model of the conservative House Freedom Caucus. No, they haven't? You mean they haven't been fighting for anything? They've been going along with their leadership? Asked why progressives have not flexed their political muscle more and threatened to kill Democratic bills to get more of their priorities, one progressive House aide replied, Democrats believe in government. What's the cost benefit of blowing up a bill? What's the cost of abandoning all the policies you guys were elected on? Interesting how corporate Democrats have the opposite approach that progressives do. Corporate Democrats always turn the screws on on their leadership, not the establishment, on their leadership. Hey, the squad can't do this. They only have 4 people. The squad can't do this. They only have 6 people. The squad can't do this. There are only 12 people. Hey, the squad can't do this. There are only 30 people. The excuse will always be the same, and people will keep dying. Remember what Ilhan Omar tweeted out? She said, yes, we can. With a slim Democratic majority in the next Congress, anything can be possible. It will literally take 5 courageous progressive members to get concessions on progressive policy. Now it's just 4. It's just 4. So you, Jayapal, AOC, and anyone else, pick one. Pick Mark Pocan. Pick Jamal Bowman. Pick Cori Bush. Pick Ro Khanna. Pick Ayanna Pressley. Pick anybody. You got it. You guys have all the power, and they're not going to use it. But you know why? Because they want to make Cenk Uygur and Ryan Grimm look like fucking dickheads, and they want to make Jimmy Dore look like a genius. I can't think of any other reason why they wouldn't do this, but that's the result. They're making those guys look like complete and utter dickheads. And they're making me look like a genius. And I'll take it. I'll take it. Speaking of guys looking like a dickhead, here he is. He's tweeting this out after saying we shouldn't criticize them, after lovingly begging them to do something. Cenk Uygur tweets out this article and says, this is signaling near complete surrender of progressives in Congress, and the reporters barely noticed. Oh, Cenk Uygur's on it, though, now. He's only 6 months late to the party, but he's on it now. Those shitty reporters over at the Hill, they couldn't figure it out, huh? The headline is the exact opposite of reality. Not asking for big progressive priorities means you definitely will not get them. Worst strategy ever. First of all, you don't need to put near. This is signaling complete surrender, not near complete. This is complete surrender. But I like that Cenk Uygur is now on board with the Jimmy Dore and finally has the clarity to see the situation in the House of Representatives for what it was, the same situation we saw last November. Here at the Jimmy Dore Show, what he's talking about, we saw last November, and then he worked to undermine us when we were saying these things. Up until 5 seconds ago, now Cenk Uygur's on board with the Jimmy Dore Show. Isn't that something? TYT is now on board with the Jimmy Dore Show. This is violence, Cenk. Does Cenk have a problem with women of color? I think he does. I think he has a problem with women of color. Cenk, he's a well-known sexist. Everyone knows Cenk's a well-known sexist. That's why Bernie had to unendorse him. That's why the Justice Democrats fired him. That's why Bernie unendorsed him. Everyone knows he's a sexist who has a problem with women of color. Obviously, that's what this is. It's almost as if, holy shit, progressives aren't going to win a fucking thing unless they apply political leverage. Huh. Forced to vote. Hey, Cenk is always late to the party. Laugh my ass off. Guys, I don't think they actually have WMDs. Guys. And of course, here's Jimmy Dore's tweet about it. And let me just bring in my panel to talk about it. I have Aaron Mate, world-famous comedian, along with world-famous comedian Ron Placone.
Award-winning journalist, Ron Placone.
I'm sorry, award-winning journalist. Now, award-winnings, do you guys think that the reporters at the Hill just missed the story, or what do you think? What do you think?
I think what's happening here always happens is, you have people who point out the obvious from the start. In this case, you were calling a long time ago for progressives to actually use the leverage they have, starting with the vote to elect the speaker. And then, at the time, similar to what we were talking about before, where people are just too cowardly to step up and state the obvious and fight for what is right and fight for what is achievable. People sort of cowered, but then 6 months later, when things sort of tail off and the true face of the Democratic Party becomes even more visible, then it's safer to state the obvious. So this is just people joining the party late, as always.
This is just Cenk Uygur and TYT being more nutless wonders, running interference for the establishment and their favorite politicians, while taking $24 million in corporate cash. That's exactly what this is. By the way, so Cenk Uygur saying this on April 12th. Look what he was saying on March 29th. I'm shocked by this. I want to give Senator Schumer tremendous credit for this. First time I'm beginning to believe he actually wants to pass the $15 minimum wage. That was March 29th. He was believing Ryan Grimm's bullshit article that Chuck Schumer was going to try to pass the $15 minimum wage. He was retweeting it credulously and then giving props to Schumer. And here he is just, 13 days later, going, this is complete surrender. How long is it going to take you to figure this out, Cenk? Just 13 days ago, you had no idea that the Democrats were against all this shit? And then it took 13 days later for you to figure that out? Are you being dumb on purpose? It's amazing how many people's paychecks depended on them not understanding how leverage works. I'm just waiting for the day when Cenk posts that tweet. I still hate Jimmy Dore, but I have to admit he was right.
You know, Jimmy, which reminds me, speaking of minimum wage, you remember when AOC was telling us that the reason they couldn't use leverage to fight for a floor vote on Medicare for all is because they were going to save it for the $15 minimum wage? That just happened recently.
And they didn't do it.
They didn't do it.
And they didn't.
Have you ever had like a friend in your life, or maybe not friends the wrong word, but like someone in your life, and I'm sure like in journalism you have, and God knows in show business we do all the time, where it's like they want to do all these things and they have these project ideas, and then slowly but surely you realize they're a complete bullshitter, where it's like, yeah, no, we're gonna do this script. I got this funding. I got this investor. He's at HBO, and I'm telling you. And then like a couple months later, you realize like, oh no, there was no funding. There was no nothing. That's how I feel whenever I hear these things like, no, we're gonna fight for the $15 this way. No, we're gonna use our leverage this way. I feel that same way, where it's like, oh shit, I need to block your number. You're so full of shit. I can't do this anymore. Like, that's how I feel about our government.
No, this is going to work. My cousin we have a meeting set up with a guy from Showtime. He used to work at Showtime. We have a meeting that definitely set up. Where is this meeting? It's at an IHOP on Sunset Boulevard. Okay, I don't think that's a real meeting.
Then you show up at noon and like the person's already drunk and they're like, he had to cancel last minute. I'm so angry at him. And then they're on the phone like, why did you cancel our meeting? You're like, bro, I can hear the dial tone from here. You're not talking to anybody. There's no one on the other line.
You know what's nice when those things? I remember when you get those phone calls and they actually pan out. Like, I remember Butch Bradley called me in like 1997 or 8 or something. And he was like, hey, I'm going to shoot a comedy special. You want to be part of it at the Laugh Factory? I got a bunch of money from this guy. And I'm like, you're full of shit. He wasn't. He got a bunch of money. He hired a fucking crew. He paid us all way too much money. And we got to shoot a special. It was fucking awesome. It was awesome. Butch Bradley. I should send that guy a birthday gift every year. Why don't I? Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.